So recently I did a little lesson on fingerstyle. Well, not really fingerstyle, but just how to use your fingers. Now, and somebody asked me a question about walking bass lines. And that got me thinking a little bit. I started thinking back, and it was sort of a nostalgic kind of feeling. And I thought back about in my days in music school, when I was a student, but also when I was teaching. And back in those days, there was nothing. There wasn't like even like really like computers or much less iReal Pro or even cell phones. So basically when you played standards with your teachers, you had to play like the bass lines yourself. And so it was walking bass lines, and I thought that was such fun because two guitar players could play like standards together, right? Whether it be like a bossa nova or even like just jazz standards. Right? So I thought this was like a good lesson to teach people because it's sort of it's becoming more of like a lost art. And that makes me sad because I used to have so much fun playing with my roommates or classmates, just for hours on end playing these standards, doing it this way. So look, I'm going to teach you how to do it with the jazz blues. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to be able to play the chords. So the chords are like this. So that's the first thing you want to work on. If you don't know the changes, you just got to work on those, at least for this lesson. But once you learn the technique for the walking bass line, you can do it on any song, especially any kind of jazz standard, okay? Now the trick about it, the first thing that they told me, my teacher told me, is that it doesn't have to make sense. You don't have to think like a bass player. And bass players sometimes say this too when it comes to jazz. A lot of them tell you that it's more about like the feeling. And, sometimes the note selection isn't as important as the feeling. And I don't know how true that is, but for the walking bass on the guitar, it's certainly true. So first thing that you're going to do is you're going to go like this. Now, you can play the chords on the beat or off the beat. You can play them long or short. So on the beat, short. Off the beat, short. Different combinations. All right, so let's just play the bass and the chords, and it can be off or on, however you want to do it, mix it up a little bit. So here we go. Okay, so I just played the bass lines going like this. And you could play it, like I said, the chords on the beat. Or off the beat. Right, different ways to do that. So that's the next step that you want to do. Practice, just go boom, 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 and that's all you got to do. Next, now here's that thing that sort of freaked me out. My teacher told me, it doesn't matter what you play so much, but you just can go either below the root or one note above the root. Remember, I just said it, but I'll say it again. You don't have to think like a bass player so much. So for starters, go below, half step below each root of the chord. So 1, 2, 3. Right? Next one is one note above each root. Now I'm playing on 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? So one note above each of these chords. Okay, good. So then you just mix it up as much as you want. And again, you can play the notes, the chords on the beat or off the beat or however you like it. But it's good to mix it up so it doesn't sound like the same thing all the time. Right? So the next thing you can do is, once you get better at this, you can actually slide the chords with the bass notes. And that sounds pretty cool too. So like this. And then next thing, if you really want to get into this even more, some places you can play some of the lines that maybe a bass player would play. Like, let me think of this for example. So the next thing that you want to remember is don't make the chords any more complicated than they need to be. When you get better at it, you can take a little bit of liberties, maybe, and if you're good at using your thumb, 13. Okay, and so when you get good at this, try it with other standard songs, that you can find in the real book, it's very effective, and then you can jam out with your friends. It's really fun, to just without having to deal with iReal Pro or even though that's fine, that's a great practice tool, but we think about it in the old days. It's like if I wanted to practice standards, I literally had to record myself playing this way and then jam along with it, or at least get together with my friends. But that's sort of the fun, right? Because you get together with your friends and you can, it makes the whole thing even better. So playing music with people is really the most important thing that you can do. All right, so have a nice day.